everyone, and happy birthday to John, who is not here. John is in Cairo and has dramatically overestimated the ability of the internet to provide him access to us. So Masami is here and has graciously decided to go ahead with the call with one condition. We're going to reschedule the time with John so that there can be a proper conversation. And I'm John's assistant, April. I am going to facilitate a Q&A with Masami. So get your little thinking caps on and come up with some questions. I'm sure you've got a lot of things you'd like to talk to with Masami, and we'll start. First of all, I'm going to do a brief introduction. I'm not going to read her whole bio. You're welcome, Masami. She embraces both spirit and science, intuition and physiology, and bridges the seen and the unseen to reveal the interconnections between the body, the mind, and the spirit. And at this point in time, that seems like an incredibly important thing to be able to do. She's one of the reasons that we decided not to do a full interview today is the interaction with John and Masami is so good, and they feed off each other and build off each other and go places that neither one of them really planned to go. So we want that one to happen too. But for now, welcome Masami, welcome everyone, and let's see what we find out today. Oh, Masami, you're muted again.
Muted again. Hey, thank you, April. Thank you. Thank you for bringing the sunshine into this situation and making it calming start, because I was having a hard time getting on and I was like, okay, calm down. So all worked out. And are there people here? I guess I don't see them, right?
Yes,
is that right?
There are people here. We've got about 120 so far. Mm-hmm. And again, I need to reiterate where John is. John had the opportunity last minute to go to Cairo. Today, he is spending, well, it's rather late in the evening, but he got to spend his birthday today at Giza at the pyramids. So he's having a fabulous, wonderful time, and did not realize until he tried to get online that wasn't going to work. So here we are.
Yeah.
So do you want to say anything in introduction to what your topic is so that they can be thinking about it?
Yeah, so I think it would be great. I sent the topic after thinking about it for a long time, not just thinking about it, but feeling into it and getting the okay from, I would say, the cosmos. And so before I reveal the topic really, and some of you kind of know where I'm going with it for some of you that have been following my work, but I had started to have this deep relationship with the moon and the moon cycles, especially last year, the end of last year. And it was about 2 to 3 weeks prior to November 19th, the lunar eclipse. And I was really getting drawn to the moon, but it was more than just like, oh, isn't the moon beautiful kind of a thing. It was, the moon was asking me, can we go a little deeper together? Can we experiment? So I often allow my body to be kind of a tool and to say, okay, let's experiment with this. Let's stay curious. Let's unravel what's here and then maybe, unfold and then see what happens. So I allowed the moon to kind of speak to me, and that led me to living with the moon cycles, not in the way that you're creating intentions and making something happen, that kind of a creating magical things happen to 1.0, but it's more like a 2.0, like releasing my rhythm and allowing the moon to guide me. So that's what kind of led me to the topic of discussing the awakening through the darkness and allowing ourselves to seep into marinate into the darkness and allow that to give us the healing power to awaken in our own potential through the darkness instead of seeking light and chasing light and going after light constantly. Because, and then I knew going into it, it took me a little while, April, you know, to send you the title and things that I was thinking about, because I thought, oh, is this going to be okay to talk about? Because my human ego, my mind was saying, you should be talking about light. And, you know, I was, you know, sending you an email around, you said, you know, please send me the titles and everything. I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is like 2022, new year. Everybody wants predictions and, you know, fortune telling and, you know, what's next and what's light and how are we going to get to 5D and what's ascension look like? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, we need to descend. We need to awaken through the darkness and the darkness of the womb, but then not the darkness of the tomb. And that's what I was feeling. And so much of it was really difficult for me to put into words. And that's why it took me a little bit to get back to you. But that's kind of the topic. I would love to explore what it is to descend, and not to emphasize that let's wake up together, but what if we woke down and into and to discovering the subconsciousness of who we are and the underbelly of the darkness together. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to go back and forth with. So
kind of like a personal title chart. Chart's the wrong word, but you know how the moon affects the tides, that it
yes. So there is that. But I think what the moon reveals for us is that we are all in different phases of gray. That we go through different, so it's not, darkness doesn't mean if you cross this line, it's pitch black. No, within the pitch blackness, there's a shimmering light in there. There's a different shades of gray there. So it's what the moon cycle was teaching me was, yes, there's the tides that happen within us, especially women. We know this through our bodies, for whether you're in menopause or you're not, or you have a daughter that just started having monthly, cycles. It's not just about that, but it's teaching us to go into different shades of gray, and it's a different shades of darkness. And it's important that we don't fear darkness, because darkness is just simply the light that we cannot see. Right. And I think the moon was teaching me to go into it and say, discover, explore. What if you just let yourself unfold? It's like an acorn, when the acorn is trying to grow, it's deep in the underground, and it's in this darkest point in its history, really. But before it can become the oak tree, it basically has to trust the process. And I put down this word, but the acorn has to completely trust this process and break free, break open of its own self-knowing, possibly, maybe, self-image, self-labeling, because acorn isn't the end of the story, is it? It has its own potential that's about to come, but the acorn doesn't really know what that is yet. But you have to trust it. And I feel like the moon cycle teaches us every month, trust this process will teach you different shades, different rhythms. And I feel like we've lost that. We've lost touch with that. We've started paying attention to other things. I mean, planetary systems are important, but I went back to where I come from, which is Japan. And in Japan, we had lunar calendar up to 1900s. And when I was growing up, we always had two calendars. So one was the solar based, and then the other one was a lunar based. And since living here in the United States and longer that I'm not living in Japan, I noticed myself not being in touch with that part of the cycles, the rhythm that was teaching me how to be in nature, how to be in season. Because our human psyche yearns to be part of the nature. We want to have cycles, the rhythm. So it's not always the full moon, but there's that new moon, and there everything in between. The nature teaches us that nature decays, nature will begin to deteriorate, the nature will ferment and putrefy and become rancid and death. But we've kind of forgotten that there's the beauty in that. And there's also a beauty in letting the acorn be undone, letting the chrysalis become a mush inside. We've forgotten that, and we've started to focus. We got so addicted to ascension in every world. So health, how do I get better tomorrow? Take X, Y, and Z and you'll be better. So it's this ascension. Stock market, everything has to go up constantly. We have to be improving constantly. So there's so much kind of pressure to seek for the ascension, not only just in the spiritual world. And I think we've forgotten what it is to be undone, to unfold, and to trust, and to dive, to descend into that darkness, and allow ourselves to stay just a bit longer in the unknown, because that's truly where the potential rises from, is the unknown. So I'll pause there for a moment, April.
Well, my mind is blowing. I'm going to show you. I make a list like this every single day because, well, partly because I have many, many things to do, but the idea that I need to be better, I need to be stronger, I need to be focused, there's something about what you're talking about, the letting go and letting things occur the way they're supposed to. And obviously John has mastered this because he's doing that right now. But yeah,
happy birthday,
I'm really
John.
bad at that.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
He's birthing into this. Yeah.
He really is. And descending down into the pyramids in the darkness.
Right.
But this is really appealing, and I can't wait till you and John get to talk about it, because I'm sure this is going to go boop, 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 like a pong game. I need to do some technical stuff. There have been a couple of people asking how to raise their hand, how to get on the Q&A with you. If you look at your screen, there's a little raise hand button down at the bottom. And once you raise your hand, then start looking for how to unmute yourself. The raise hand is toward the right-hand side, and the unmute is on the left. And I'm asking you, please don't unmute yourself until we call on you, because then it gets kind of chaotic with too many people talking. And it's important, not that I talk, but the Masami talks. So when I call on you, then you can unmute. And when you're done with your question talking to Masami, then we'll mute you back up. This is, like I said, this is, I think, incredibly timely, really, for all of us. Things are chaotic and things are wild, and wow, a different perspective, one that maybe we knew before and have totally ignored for a long time. So yeah,
because there's been, we've been living under a little bit of a spell, under reaching the light. And we've seen that. We've seen all of us wanting to ascend. What is that? I want to feel that, I want to go up. But I think this is the time that your soul is actually requiring and needing you and all of us. And I've been taking a lot of time for myself to descend, because it's been a journey, April. Oh my goodness, that February, I thought, oh, this is going to be great. The Chinese New Year's, the Lunar New Year, the Tiger Year starting. And I just went, boom, down the cliff into the darkness part of the womb. But so I've been reminding myself that we all come from that darkness. We didn't come from the light per se. We actually stayed in that darkness for some of us 9 months, some of us a little bit longer, some of us a little shorter, but we've stayed in that because that's where we like I said, marinated in possibilities. And the darkness is where the potential is. That's where the possibility is. And darkness invites us. It's a kind of a place for us to be invited to our own inner initiation of some kind. And I think all of us are going through collective initiation. And as a society in large, we have not had a place that we can go into that darkness initiation. Because in the tribal world, or even in the society like Native Americans, they would have the initiation period where we are held by others to go deep and dark into the unknown, not to be guaranteed that you'll come out of it knowing about things, but at least you take that dive, and that's allowed. But we haven't been allowed to do that. Feels like we're trying to skip over that. And I think as collective, we're being asked to sit with the unknown, allow ourselves, let ourselves be lost in it, and not to try to say, okay, I'm in the darkness, show me the way. I'm in the darkness, what is next? I'm in the darkness, where's my, what's the forecast say? Or
where's the light switch?
Yeah, where is it? Where is it? Instead of that, stay with it just a bit longer. And we've all stayed in it. We've all stayed in it. So we have the endurance, we have the strength, we have that power to sustain that moments of discomfort a little bit longer than we allow our ego, ourselves, to allow ourselves to be explored. And, when we can create the container for initiation, for the darkness, this is when we get to purge some of our old patterns, our old karmic looping, our past lives, maybe our own capital T and little t traumas. This is the space we get to shake those things off of our nervous system. And you know me, I'm a body-oriented practitioner. So body cannot heal if you don't introduce darkness. And darkness is what heals our bodies. That's why sleep is so important. And without the darkness, our bodies don't know how to produce melatonin. So many of us are maybe taking melatonin for sleep aids or maybe other things, because melatonin is an incredible hormone as well as neurotransmitter. And it helps with the inflammation in your gut and inflammation in your joints. And it does so many other things that are totally unknown still. But melatonin cannot be produced if you don't sit in the darkness, sleep in the darkness long enough. So that's another. And then another thing is that when cancer cells or not so healthy cells, when they die, when the cell that is dying, they release incredible amount of biophotons. So they actually release more light when the cells are sick and they need to die. In the dying process, they actually release light. So in other words, okay, cancer is releasing more light than healthy cells as biophotons. So what I think is that light is changing. We are in the place of having more elevated light that is coming into this cosmos, to this earth, to the human beings, and for all sentient beings, for all of us to experience more vibrationally potent light. We are. But what it does is that it exposes the dying cells, the dying structures, dying politics, dying mindset, and maybe even your self-image and labels that you put on yourself, things that you believe to be your personality. Personality just means the mask you put on the stage. So I think that as the light goes up, the intensity in which it expels, but also releases, and it shines and makes us become aware of the darkness. So the subconsciousness is actually melting more and more, and it's starting to surface, just like the iceberg. And this makes it a little bit difficult for sensitives and empaths, and a lot of us channelers, and even as an intuitive, it's hard to really come to to feel it in our hearts, because I mean, we feel it in our hearts. It's really hard. What it is that the icebergs are melting right now on this earth, just as well as your iceberg is melting in you.
Ugh.
And we are being exposed. Our old structures, our old yuck and cruddy things. And so I've been calling it the muck and yuck. You know, our muck and yuck are being surfacing and they're coming up and you're going, oh my gosh, I worked on this last year. I've been doing this for 20 years. And why am I doing it again? Because the subconsciousness is 90 to 95%. And that is starting to surface. And, you know, April, I'll pause for a moment here, but I would love to take everybody through just a little bit of kind of a collective meditation on this.
Ooh, there's a question on that.
Yeah.
If you do a meditation, are we going to close our eyes and be in the dark?
Yes, we are.
Ooh.
Yes, we are. I love that you said that.
Why don't we do that? And then we'll start taking some Q&A and see how that goes.
Yeah, sounds good. So
take us away.
Yeah, thank you, April. I think first it might be kind of fun to rub our hands and just create some prana between our hands, because we're going to be using our hands. And I love to clap, 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 clap. My grandpa used to do this. And then you blow your own prana into the palms. And then go ahead and cover your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes. And then create the darkness, as dark as it can get. You might see a flash of lights or like round things or spots or different electric vibrations in there, but gradually that will calm down. It's almost like a storm moving through, and you'll come to the darkness. So enjoy that for a moment. And then slowly keep your eyes closed, please. And then release your hands down. And let's imagine that all of us are walking, like in the walking meditation. So it's slowly, slowly walking towards the center of let's call it the Earth Village. We all live in this village called Earth. And we're coming to the town center, village center. And all our sages, all our teachers, all our ancestors have gathered, and they've started a nice big fire for us in the middle. And all of us are walking towards that fire in the center of that village. Walking and walking, and we're starting to create a giant circle. Maybe there'll be multiple circles, like ripples in the pond when you drop a rock. Layers and layers and circles. And you're standing next to maybe some of them you know, friends and families, maybe some of them you've never met before. You can all feel the warmth coming from the center of that circle, that big fire, the bonfire that these beautiful souls have made for us. And now begin to use your hands and reach for the person next to you, to the right and to the left of you. And hold hands with each other. And we all watch the sunset and the beginning of the twilight, the darkness beginning to come up through the horizon. And the fire in the middle is starting to subside. They're not adding any new wood onto that. So starting to dwindle. The light is dissipating. The light has shifted into the darkness. Because remember, the darkness is the light that you cannot see. It's getting sucked back into the darkness. So now we stand holding hands in circles in the darkness. And allow your body to breathe in and breathe out. As you breathe in, the darkness enters. In exchange of that, let the deep darkness come out. Breathing in the darkness from the outside, letting the iceberg melt, let the subconscious come out. Let that mingle with your conscious mind. And in the darkness, notice that you no longer not only see your own feet or your hands or your arms, but you no longer see each other in terms of their colors, shapes, what their personalities like, what their masks they brought with them, their self-image, the titles, the labels that they were given or the labels that they received and they've put on themselves. You can't see them anymore. It's just this rippling circles of breath, the heartbeats, the nervous system connecting. Let's begin to breathe together like a pulsating heart, one heart, cohesive heart. And in that darkness, without self-image, self-labeling, judgments, and categorizations of others and yourself, ask yourself, who are you? Who are you in that darkness of the place of birth? See if you could let go just a bit more of what you carried to that circle. Shed yourself of that. And as you begin to breathe in, see if you could pull the Mother Earth's energy up through the feet, bottom of your feet, up through your legs. Disperse that energy out into your limbs, into your fingertips, palms, through your face, the crown of your head. Emanate from the within, from the earth, the deep part of the earth. And stay with it. Can you trust this process? Can you stay in the darkness together? We are alone and together in this space. You have to take this journey alone, but we take it together, knowing that all of us collectively are walking and standing in this darkness. Release the need to know and embrace the unknown. Release the need to figure things out, get clarity. Release that and stay in the unknown. Because that's when the magic happens. When you say to the universe, I don't know. The universe gets excited. And all your guides and angels will help you to fluff up your wings when you stand in the darkness just a bit longer than it's comfortable. That's when your wings fluff up. That's when you can build your trust and faith. And slowly releasing your hands away from one another. Place both hands at the heart center. Let the darkness breathe into your hands. Receive the darkness through the hands. And slowly opening your eyes and imagine in your mind that all of us are slowly returning to where our home is in silence. Thank you for letting me guide all of you through this.
Well, I made a mistake. When you said let go of, and I can't even remember what you said, but you said let go. And so I let go of people's hands and I turned into a spark and flew up into the sky with the smoke. So I'm going to have to come back and redo it because I left too early. But that was, yeah, I could feel the night. I could feel those around me. And then sorry I left.
Don't be sorry, but you recognized it. Because, you know, April, what happens is that your spirit and your soul are not always working together, just so you know. I would say almost no one's. That's what makes life so fascinating, though, is that the spirit moves in the speed of light. Spirit loves to return to the heavens and love to be with the other angelic beings and to be with the cosmos. So spirit's always like, come on, let's go, let's get there, right? But the soul, which is housed by your body, it likes the messiness and the density. And so what it is that, April, in your case, maybe you've done a lot of spirit work, but maybe your inner body is saying, can we do the soul work? Can we get into the soul expressions? And the soul actually likes the messiness of the humanness. And soul, because soul loves to be housed by you. And so do the housing of the soul and slow things down, quiet down, silence yourself. Those are the things that the soul requires. And it almost just craves right now.
And we're so bad at that right now.
Yeah, because we've done so much work on the spiritual realm and we might have forgotten a little bit about the soul.
And modern life doesn't really encourage us to slow down and to let go of that kind of thing.
Especially, and you're so busy too. I mean, you and I are on emails constantly. It's like, why is April still up? And you're probably thinking, why is Masami still up? You know, it's just nuts.
Isn't that what your husband says? Mine does. What are you doing? You're still up.
I know. It's just like, what's going on? But yeah, you know, the soul requires, okay, it's not an option, everyone. The soul requires darkness. Soul does. So create what it is to be in the darkness. And if it means that you go along with the moon cycle a little bit, reconnect with that cycle of darkness, that's the different shades of gray that moon is teaching us, maybe do that. But soul requires the unknown space in order to grow.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a little story. My husband works at night. And the other night he left for work, and we live in a rather wooded area, a lot of animals. And he called me and he said, I just saw 3 wolves running down the street. And I said, are you kidding me? I mean, we're definitely residential. And he said, well, that's what I saw, but it really was 3 deer. Now, I'm not sure how he mistook deer for wolves, but he did. But I think that's one of the beauties of darkness too, is things can become what they aren't and allow us to see things differently than we would in the light. I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have recognized the deer in the light.
Wow.
But isn't that a
I
great story?
love that story you just shared.
Yeah. I'm going to do something really quick.
Yeah.
We're not going to dive too deeply into your package because
Mm.
I want to do the Q&A and
Yeah,
you and
let's
John
do
will do it. But seriously, I like that you call it a sacred journey. It's a live moon thing. That's a terrible description, but
Oh, thing works. You know, when my brain is numb, I just call
thingy,
everything
it's
the
the
thing.
thingy. Yeah.
The thingy. Yes.
I'm putting the link in, and you can always go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Masami27. But I'm going to recommend that you click on this link and then come back to the call, and after, read over this live event that she's created for us to do this. And it starts in April, so you have a day or two to think about it so that you don't miss out. But, or if you're like me, you're going to be like, okay, obviously this is something I'm going to do. But check it out. John will talk more about it when the two of you get together, and I'll put the link on a little later too. But let's get into the Q&A. We have quite a few people with their hands raised. I am going to start putting people in as, oh golly, what is it called? Panelists. And that will put you with the your video on if you have your video. And please do not unmute yourself until we call on you. And we'll start that way. And I'm going to start with Eileen, because Eileen is familiar with how all of this works. So while I'm taking care of everybody else, Eileen, are you there? Where's Eileen?
I'm here.
There she is, yay.
And I can't put my video on because I'm on my desktop and it won't work. I'm sorry.
Oh, no fun. That's
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm glad, Masami, that you're talking about darkness, because that's a great deal of what I experienced for 2 years of this pandemic. And I wrote about it, sang about it. But it is kind of scary. And having you talk about it, it sort of brought things back. And I guess my question, if there's a question, I don't even know if there is one, but if there were a question, it would be about all of these things that I've put together because of the darkness. And because I was sort of, thrown in here by myself. So I'm just going to put it out there for you to say, tell me what you see.
So I have a clarification questions. What do you mean by it brought up again? What came back up for you?
Well, I wrote my first book, and in the book, I talked about the isolation. And now I'm doing the audio version of the book, and it's bringing it back again. It meaning, I guess, I took a grander view of my life, my past, where I was a little while ago, where I am now, where I may be going. But I think being in this pandemic, especially in New York, where everything shut down, it was scary. And I experienced darkness in a way I never did before. So that's what I need a little clarification on, because it almost felt like I was living my past lives, even though it wasn't. It was my life past, if you know what I mean.
So what I sense from you is that, and then let's just have a dialogue here about this, because I think what you're bringing up is super important. And, this is why I've been little bit hesitant to even bring up this topic of the importance of the darkness, because are you kidding me? Kind of a feeling. First I'm thinking to myself, seriously? That's why I said to April in the beginning, to all of you, that it took me a long time to even send in what is it that I was going to talk about, because I thought, please don't make me talk about this. I much rather talk about the health and intuitive, which is fine. I will answer those questions as well. But I've been really guided to speak up about this, the beauty of the darkness, the magic of the darkness. But what I sense from you is that almost like in between your questions, your thoughts, you're asking, when is this going to be done? When am I going to be done with this? I've been through this for 2 years. I'm having to relive it again. I'm doing the audiobook now. That means I have to revisit this again.
Exactly.
And so that, when is this going to be done, is the question that you want to weigh it out with. How much faith and trust do you have in this process? That we have absolutely no idea how long. And it's truly bio-individual, but collectively, I don't know when we will fully come out of the darkness, but the darkness is not always pitch black. Like I said, it's a different shades of gray.
Right.
So if you can allow the phase to undulate with you, to have your body move in and out of it, notice those subtle changes in the gray. I think that's kind of what I would like for you to sink into. And that question of when can I get out of this is not the most helpful way of approaching what you're going through. Because I think many of us who have done a lot of spiritual work have been called. I feel like we've been summoned by the darkness to say, you have to be the voice of us. You have to be the voice of this, because not enough of us are speaking about this. So the fact that you're writing about it and now re-recording this again, that tells me that the universe decided you have the strength and endurance and sustained power to get through this, and you have to speak about it continuously. And you might say 2 years, 3 years, 3 decades, and I still have to. Sometimes you do. And I always think of people like poets, a lot of the poets, like even Rumi. Rumi was in a dark, dark place for so long. And that's what created that helped him to write what he wrote. John of the Cross, Saint John of the Cross, he was in the dark night for so long. That's what made him able to speak and write about it. So it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but look around. Please look around and see others in the darkness, because you'll see me next to you. You'll see others next to you. They're walking along this path, and you didn't even recognize that, wow, we're right next to each other. We didn't know it. And I think we need to call on each other in the darkness and say, are you there? Are you there? Am I here? Are we walking together? We are walking together, but in our own way.
I just wanted to share one other thing. I had my first exposure to actually walking in the dark, because I haven't been going out at night.
Yeah.
And now, the sun is setting early, and I had a late appointment with physical therapy, and I was walking home in the darkness, and I went, wow, this is really nice. I mean, I actually enjoyed it. It's like, okay, I'm a little afraid, but not that bad. And I walked through the darkness. So I think,
And
this is the next step.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I love that you brought up the walking in the dark. And many of you that have been following my work, that's one of the things that I give as homework to people, is to walk in the dark with no cell phone on, no flashlights on, walk in the dark and practice that, because faith and trust requires muscles too. You can't just say, I have faith and never work on it, never attend to it. You have to attend to that plant called faith, and you have to water it. You have to give it some love. And, Mary Oliver's quote, I want to give this to you. Someone I love once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift. And so you've been gifted. And so open that box fully and start practicing what it is to walk in the dark, sing in the dark, dance in the dark, sit in the dark, and allow the darkness to guide you. And thank you for doing the work that you do. Thank you for using your courage and your strength to read your book and make it into Audible so that we can listen to your words. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yeah.
By the way, this is Eileen's book. Look how dark it is.
Oh my God. And you know what? When you look at the piano notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was all just the white and doesn't have the dark sharps and flats and all that. What would the music sound like? What, we're going to just play with the C notes all day long? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Is that all the life is? We would.
I actually wrote a song called The Black and White, using the piano as a metaphor. And that is my piano.
I love it.
cover.
From the darkness, Beethoven created the Ninth Symphony, right?
Yes, he did.
From the darkness, Mozart could not quite finish his Requiem, but somebody took on his darkness and then took it to that level, right? I mean, so that, to me, whenever I feel stuck in the darkness, I open a poetry, because if we only chased light, none of us will be writing poetry. None of us will be gifted with poems. So thank you for bringing that up with the piano and the darkness. I so appreciate it.
And thank you, April.
Oh, of course. Someone else wants to see the book again.
Yeah, what does it say? Can you read the title, please?
Yeah, it's Isolation, a Timeless Account.
Thank you.
Anyway, Eileen, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to mute you and let's call in somebody else. Let's see, Eeny, Meeny, Mo. I'm going to, Joanne, can you unmute yourself?
I absolutely can.
Yay.
Hi, Sally. So I have two things I'd like to share. The first I wrote in the chat because as I've listened to, I've followed Masami for a long time. I work with her one-to-one, and at times she and her husband have talked about possibly doing a workshop on death. And when I was listening to you in the beginning, it almost felt like that could be the prelude to something like that, because I just think that that's something I know I need to have a deeper understanding of. And I think having a deeper understanding of that will have an absolute physical effect for me. It will translate into calming my nervous system, which, interestingly enough, I've been on a roller coaster for the last 4 weeks because our daughter, who has been trying to start a family for almost 9 years, got a call and is in the process of adopting a newborn.
Yay!
Yes, yay, absolutely yay. But it's yay, and then it's, oh my God, yay, and oh my God, so it's such an up and down. And going through the process has really been an experience of living in the unknown, complete unknown, because everything is in everybody else's hands. There's, other than be still and pray, there was nothing that I, as a mother or grandmother, could do. And I found that through that experience, I actually felt like my nervous system calmed down. That from that experience of going up and down and up and down, but then realizing that I had to really not let the water spill out. I had to hold that cup tightly, and stay within myself and let everything be whatever it was going to be, and know that whatever it was going to be was what was divine guided. My nervous system actually calmed down from not wanting to control everything. And that, so I just wanted to speak to that and see if you had any insight in that for me.
Yeah. So, I think when we want to figure it out, when we want the clarity, and particularly like in your situation, your daughter's situation, is that, like you said, it's not up to her, right? In so many ways, she has to wait. There's certain procedures that has to get done. All kinds of paperwork have to be done, background checks. I mean, there's so much that she had to go through, and still it's the waiting game. But what happens is that the nervous system connection is very interesting. When we are under not knowing space too long, which is difficult to be in, our brain stem part, so it's kind of the lizard part of the brain, it's the reptilian part of the brain, it's somewhat freaked out, because that part of the brain likes to know, right? Know as in, am I going to be safe? Am I going to be safe? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? That's all it cares about, is, am I going to be safe? So even though adopting a child, it's very exciting, there's so much, future that can be coming, and there's so much heightened emotions, but that not knowing really triggers that part of the brain. So what you really want to work on is literally touch that part of the brain, even like interlace your fingers, bring it behind you. All of you can do this, but just kind of like almost like you're hanging out at the beach. You can do this sitting, you can do this in bed by the pillow, like over the pillow, and then just literally holding that space and say, I hear you, lizard brain. And Rick Hansen, who I've studied with, Dr. Rick Hansen, he does a lot of the neuroplasticity work. He says to pet the lizard in you. But as you do this, you're kind of petting the lizard, and you just look to one side. You can move your head a little bit, and to the other side. You're like checking out the space around you, making sure everything is safe around you. And then the other way again. And then bring your head to the center and just move your eyes to the side, maybe a little bit downward, looking to the right, to the side, and down. Stay there for a little bit. And then move your eyes over to the left. Stay there for a little bit. And you do this until, and take it very slowly, until you begin to yawn. You can make yourself yawn too, but you want to yawn. Because when you're under tremendous amount of nervous system stress, you can't yawn. And then go ahead and relax your hands.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and when you can yawn, that's when you pet the lizard. Because the lizard won't let you pet it generally, okay, in the nature, right? They will run away. But this is just a great way to just go, lizard, you're okay. We're safe. We're going to be fine. Yeah. So know that you're a human being when that happens, and know that, wow, my brain isn't just about the human brain. It's this beautiful cognitive brain. No, it's that fight or flight, freeze, but also always checking out what's next. Oh my God, why isn't this happening? Why is this unknown? And what it does is that all of us seek out predictions and forecasting, and somebody tell me what's going to happen to me. And our brains want to seek for that. And we get hungry for that kind of information. But when you're continuously seeking answers and clarity and what's my future look like, then you lose touch with your soul growth and your evolution of who you are. Right? Because you're just going to feed the lizard brain. Because when you do that, lizard brain goes, well, thanks for the dopamine. That was great. I'm good now. And then the dopamine runs out, and it goes back into the nervous system freaking out again. Then you're going to go seek out something else and say, okay, tell me. And then you sign up for this seekers and this intuitives and this channelers and this person. And then you look at the astrology and you look at this chart and that, okay, this is what's going to happen. And you settle your lizard part of the brain, but you don't evolve if you continue to do that. So do these things, let yourself be okay with not knowing, yawn so it can reset the nervous system. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
Thank you, Masami.
You're
No,
welcome.
much love.
Much love to you too.
Great. All right, let's open up. Mara, can you join us?
Yes. Let me start my video as well. I can't.
Hi, Mara.
Hey, Masami. Hi, April.
Masami, you and I forgot to wear our hats today.
We did.
It's
I
cold here
didn't
in Portland.
I didn't get the memo from you, Mara.
It's cold in Portland. Hi. Yeah, you have
Hi.
such a sweet smile. It's really.
Okay, Mara, let's just take a moment. Let's take a moment. Put your one hand at the heart and the other hand at the belly. Yeah. Everyone do this for Mara. This has been a journey for her. Whew. Yeah. Yeah. And focus on your exhales. Just release it out. Release it out. Yeah. All things begin from the exhales. Even the birth begins with the exhales. A lot of people think that the birth, we take a breath in. Not so quick, everyone. Did you know that the babies actually spit mucus out and get the cruddy muck and yuck out first when they come out of the dark? Then they take their first breath. Yeah, that's what you need. You've been carrying so much on your shoulders. What a weight that you've been carrying. Release, release. Let us take some of it. Let us take some of the portions of it. You're not alone. You have misunderstood life to be alone. You do this, there's a lot of lonely moments, and you do go through the journey alone. But the weight isn't, you shouldn't carry it all by yourself. Okay, give some to us. We can carry. Trust that. Can you have trust in that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And if you have questions, I'm okay to answer, but maybe not. I don't know.
Thank you. Yeah, I do have a question. Yeah, I guess you probably already sensed maybe I don't need to tell the background, but maybe as part of the question, yeah, the last many years have been incredibly complex trauma and darkness in very extreme and excruciating ways, and such a profound lack of safety in my body that I have barely been able to leave my apartment because just everything's too much, people, noise. So I've just been having to be in this womb of learning how to resource and find safety. And I think, well, one, I just wanted to say that I love what you're talking about because I've been in it for so deeply. And the only other person I have found who has talked about it is a teacher named Jeannie Zandy, very exquisitely about embodiment and being human in the darkness. And she's been a tremendous help. So this is really helpful to hear. I think my question is, along with all the complex trauma, has been a deep, extreme chronic fatigue for the last many years. And I love my body and I want to support it as much as possible. And it could be, maybe this is just meant to last for years longer. I mean, who knows? I guess we'll see, right? Living in the unknown. But I guess is there anything that you get my body?
Yeah. So as soon as you started talking, I was already muscle testing you. I know you can't see me, but I was already doing this. But I was immediately drawn to your you're losing B1 and B6 from your body very fast. And I asked your body whether you were malnourished, and I got no on it, but undernourished, I get yes on that. So there is a little difference between malnourishment and undernourishment. Undernourishment is that you are, in your case, actually, the food intake is not adequate. Yeah. So malnourishment happens when people overindulge in their foods, but they're not nourishing with the right kind of foods, or the digestion has sluggishness so that they can't absorb. So there's that malnourishment. So there are nuanced difference, but there's quite the difference. In your case, malnourishment, I kept getting no. And I thought, what's going on? What's the word I'm supposed to ask? And then something popped. They said, it's the undernourishment, because your eating is not adequate. Yeah. And you can kind of see that, can't you?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And then B1, B6 is very much low. I get yes on zinc also. Magnesium, I do not get yes on that one. But I would say, yeah, no. And then I get, definitely you need to look at the essential amino acids. Lack of amino acids is making you not thrive in your body. You're surviving it though, but I know you don't want to just survive it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why you're stuck in the darkness is that darkness requires endurance. Okay. And there's a word in Finnish called sisu. And when I moved from Japan to the northern Minnesota, people used to say, do you have your sisu? And I'll be like, what the heck? You know, I'm learning another language. English is my second language. And I'm like, I'm supposed to learn the Finnish language now. But the sisu is basically your sustained endurance. It's your sustained courage and bravery and your resilience. So in order to have that, you have to nourish yourself with enough nourishments that will sustain you to move through the darkness, if that makes sense, right? So you're not nourishing yourself at the adequate amount. That's the focus that I would put on for you, is to make sure you're eating regular hours, you're eating enough protein and essential fatty acids into your diet, and supplement some of it through B6 and B1 and zinc. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
really quickly, do you think it would be helpful doing a private session with you to get more specific details around that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Specific details would be good, but those would be great to get started on, you know, making sure that you got a little bit more quantity in your case. Because you are taking on so much, you feel like you can't do it. You get overwhelmed. So your plate is becoming very dwindled and small. I need you to eat a decent amount of food. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think my appetite isn't that great, so I tend to not think about it. So
yeah, you do need to think about it, because you're not going to get through the dark nights without the adequate strength in you. Bodily strength, right? Because it's a soul's journey, dark night of the soul, right? This is not a dark night of the spirit, because spirits don't go through the dark nights. It's the soul, but the soul is housed by your body. So you have to take care of the body's strength to get through the soul's journey. Okay, so don't be skipping meals. Put the alarm on your phones, and you need to eat. Okay. Make yourself some really good soup, like really, really good soups that are like nourishing and warming to you, because you shouldn't have to wear a hat even though it's cold indoors. So that's too, okay, that your nervous system could use a little wraparound, right? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for bringing that to the topic. I think it's necessary. So thank you.
That's great. All right, let's see. Peg, unmute yourself, please.
Well, thank you for calling on me. And the timing of this is unbelievable, because I probably have a little bit of a similar story to the previous caller. So for 30 years, I've been dealing with a lot of body pain, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr virus, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not the only story. There's a lot of like divorce and death, and it's just been on and on. And I have worked with it a lot, have learned a lot. They used to call this the dark night of the soul. Well, I have to laugh at that. This is a little more than a nighttime.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna chime in, Peg, because I just wrote down the word. A lot of what's been going on, I don't usually put it into one word, but the one word came, it's dysregulation.
What does that mean?
Which means you've been dysregulated on so many things, from your life to relationships, partnerships, and even down to your blood sugar.
Yes.
It's dysregulated. And we got to bring some regularities, meaning a little bit more constructively, making sure that it's with a timely manner, like a little more regularities, so that you don't continue to create dysregulations in you. And so on a physical level, because you might not be able to control all the craziness, that chaos that's happening, right?
Yeah,
but you can regulate your blood sugar. And you got to do a much, much better job about regulating that.
Okay, so how? Do you have any suggestions?
So one of the main things that let me tune into you though, because it's bio-individual, right? So yeah, so I get on a lot of times we get blood sugar dysregulated, and that starts to show up like icebergs, like the iceberg is melting. So the melting of the iceberg is happening inside. Dysregulation in the blood is going to show up in dysregulated life around you. Is that you want to make sure you're eating every 4 hours, and it has to be like really at the regular intervals. So your body begins to come back into the regular rhythm of things. Just like the moon doesn't decide 1 month and say, you know what, this month I'm going to go 34 day cycles. Hell with you all people, we got to do 34 days. It doesn't do that. It creates regularity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it always shows up, and it's like you can count on it. That's kind of what you need within you, is something you can count on. Your body needs something to hook into and say, this I can trust. Even in the darkness, you have to be able to trust in your own feet, right? When you walk in the darkness, you have to be able to trust your bottom of the feet. It's kind of like that. Your body needs to trust you. And I say this a lot in a lot of my interviews. I say your body loves you, but your body may not trust you, because your body has not received the regular, like a clock-like rhythmic life. So every 4 hours, please eat something substantial and stop the eating and snacking model, because then the body becomes dysregulated.
Yeah.
So wake up, and with you've got to maybe force yourself a little bit here, because your body's like, oh, this is going to be a tough one. So it's already resisting what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. Is that you want to eat within about an hour to 90 minutes, the maximum after you've woken up. You need to eat something. Okay.
Are you getting any guidance on what types of food? I actually eat very well.
Yeah, but you got to eat a little more substantially. So it's not the eat all day model, but eat substantial set amount at the set time. And I would say you need fatty acids is definitely needed. So melting some butter, okay, making yourself some ghee, enjoy some avocado oils and olive oil, things like that, right? Protein, you're doing a pretty good job with that, okay? But the fatty acids can be kind of come back in, because that's what creates stability, and that's what creates a stable energy in the body is the fat. Essential fats create stability. Okay. And the brain loves fat. Did you know that the brain is mostly made out of cholesterol?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, on that note, I do have high cholesterol, and that surprises me, because I do eat butter and I do eat avocado oil. Those are the two that I use every day. That's so interesting.
I want you to eat more of it. It's just
okay.
not just enough for all that you've been going through. You just need a little more stamina. You need a little bit more warmth. So a lot of people, what they say is, oh, I'm doing it, or I'm taking this supplement, but it's just to maintain the status quo.
Yeah.
They're taking it enough to maintain what is not working for them. Okay. But where you want to go is more of a therapeutic dose, is what we call it. In the functional nutritional therapy world, we call it the therapeutic dose, which is to double the amount of B vitamins you've been taking, or triple it, or maybe eat a little more fats during the day and support your liver and gallbladder function, because that's where I get the little twinge of stagnation is the liver and gallbladder. Okay. So supporting the liver and gallbladder process, but also give yourself a little bit more butter. And not mentally decide this is enough butter for my meal, but is this enough for my taste buds? Does this feed my brain? Does this make me feel like I'm being held? Because you're very smart. You've studied, you've read a lot of things. So you are deciding what the body needs based on the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to decide, number one, by your tongue. Your tongue is intelligent. So let the tongue taste the butter. And if the butter is melting in your mouth and it tastes good to you, that means your body is saying, yes, please, more of this. Okay. And when you hit the point that you can't have butter, like your body goes, that's enough butter here, lady. It says that to me too. Then butter stops melting in my mouth. Butter actually starts to get kind of hardened inside my mouth. Like it doesn't quite melt. Then I'm like, okay, body, thank you for letting me know. I need to pull back on the butter. I went a little nuts here for the last 3 weeks, and I'll pull back. So allow the other organs to speak to you. Tongue is a great organ to talk to. Yeah. And so see if you could get out of the mind, get out of what you think is the right diet, what you think is what's the right thing for your cholesterol. And the book that I would recommend for you if you want to study about cholesterol, it's called The Great Cholesterol Myth. The Great Cholesterol Myth. And it was in 2012. And I forgot the name of the author, but you'll be able to find it. There's a technical one, and there's like a layman's term one. So that's the one that you want to get. But you can get it from Amazon, and it was a 2012 that was published. But that's a really good start about learning about why cholesterol is so important. And did you know that your cholesterol is so important in your body that your body actually makes it?
Yeah, that I did know.
Yeah, because it's that important.
Yeah, it's essential.
Yeah, you know that. So you want to allow your body to teach us how important that is. Because without cholesterol, you don't make sex hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Without cholesterol-rich fats, we don't actually make neurotransmitters.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain deteriorates, right? So
right.
What I would say to you is regulate your habits, regulate your eating, but with a little bit more meltiness to it, a little more fun with the fats, and get out of your mind a little bit and allow your tongue to speak.
Yeah, that's a trick for someone like me. I get that. Now, is this associated to the body pain? Because that actually is my number one complaint.
Yeah, so that the body pain often happens, one, not enough fats can actually cause you to have body inflammation and pain, but also not enough digestion of the fats. So like all road in your case is leading to how do we work with the fats? And that also goes into much deeper things like mother issues, because the mother's milk is mostly fats. Okay. So for those of us that did not receive mother's milk like me, or yeah, I thought so. That's why I brought it up. Or for those of us that did receive mother's milk, but we couldn't digest our mother's milk and became colicky. Those are some of the signs that we are resisting and we're not able to digest fats. And I didn't receive my mother's milk. So I've always had liver and gallbladder issues. So you want to support your liver and gallbladder doing castor oil packs, maybe doing bitters in your water before you eat, maybe doing bitter foods, doing supplements like taurine, right? Phosphatidylcholine, things like Jerusalem artichoke extracts. Those are really good stuff. That might be a very helpful support for you. as you begin to play with the fats, you got to support the fat digestion. And that's
Yeah.
going to help with the mother digesting your mother's trauma, your mother's side of the ancestral trauma, which weighs heavily on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, it really does.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up. I think this helped so many people here today.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So welcome.
Thank you.
Much love to you.
Much love to you.
Yeah, April, do we have time? I want to keep going if you want to.
Let's, you know what, I'm gonna pause this
Okay.
because I really want John to play into this more.
Yeah.
So
Maybe one more question. Can we do one more
we
question?
can do one more. Do you have somebody you feel particularly drawn to? Or do you want me to choose?
You choose, April.
Okay.
I'm in a zone. I'm in a different zone. So it's really hard for me to choose. Yeah.
Let's go with Mary Sue. Can you unmute yourself, Mary? Do you go by Mary or Mary Sue?
Actually, my name is Marilyn, but that's kind of hard for some people to say. So I go by Mary Sue.
Hi, Mary Sue. Good to see you.
Thank you. This is so great. Thank you so much. You know, and everything has been so helpful for me with what has been said, because very similar. I thought I was going to ask you a question about sleep, but just with the other callers, the whole idea of being able to digest and everything, and related to sleep for my work, I have noticed that I'm an environmental consultant and I work with people that have sleep issues. And I've noticed that just in the last week, I've talked to a couple people about having a healthier relationship with their cell phones and Wi-Fi, and how much it can help just by moving a cell phone away from the bed 3 feet. If you have to have it in the room at all. And for me, that was a big lesson for
Yeah. And Mary Sue, I think it's important to remember that we are going through a tremendous change right now, just on the cosmic level, earthly level. And as you know, as an environmentalist as well, that you see it, so there's no way that of course we're going to feel it in our bodies. We're going to feel it in our nervous systems. We are feeling it in our cells. And at the same time with you, like, I want to take it down to kind of a very practical level with you. And I think all the questions, Mara's and then Peg's question, I think those will really help you, what I just talked about with the blood sugar regulation. Eating late is one of the biggest causes of not sleeping, like sleeping through the night. That's the biggest reason. Not being able to fall asleep, there's a lot of the stimuli that we need to be removing. That is extremely important. And Mary Sue, do you ever, in your case, what's coming up for me is that, do you do like even 5 to 10 minute just sitting meditation or some kind of a quieting down meditation during the day?
During the day, yes. Morning and night I do. The one thing at night though, I do a little bit of movement and exercise too, and I don't know if that's been a conflict for being able to relax and have a full night of sleep.
Yeah, I feel like that is actually a conflict. I get yes on that. So if we can flip it a little bit, or maybe do the night meditation a little bit earlier. And I actually wouldn't do a night meditation if I were you. It's actually kind of taking you to a stimuli position, like it's a place that you're visualizing too much, or you're doing too much of a mental meditation. Even the moving meditation, it's just a little bit too much going on. So if you could just quiet down, shut everything down, even just staring out into the candlelight. I mean, something that it just really settles your mind. So you're not trying to visualize or doing through the body, and shift that nighttime meditation to a much earlier time. Shift your clock a little bit, because I feel like a lot of activity starts to happen in your household around like 8 o'clock at night.
Uh-oh. Well, you have to catch up for what you didn't do during the day.
Oh, really, Mary Sue? Is that right? Okay, so there's a lot of activities going on like around 7:30 and 8 o'clock on. So that's when you need to be dimming the lights, right? Yeah, right. So let's do that. Okay. There's nothing to catch up except to catch up on sleep.
Yeah. Well, and then with sleep, I notice sleeping on one side of my body. I keep a dream journal, but I find sleeping on my right side with my liver and gallbladder that I usually have dark sleeps. So I've noticed that from my journal. So it's like, well, I'll just always sleep on my left side. But I don't know if now
Well,
that
okay,
we're
so
talking
now
about dark, maybe
you're halfway there. You're halfway there. Yeah. You already discovered that when you put the pressure and the stagnation of the liver and gallbladder, that causes the bile to back up and then recirculates through your lymphatic system. That triggers different kind of memories in the, and then it impacts your vascular system too. So that's not good. That means you have stagnation in your liver and gallbladder. So I would listen back to what I said to Peg about some of the supplements that you really want to start taking. Okay. There's no way we can be on this earth and not take care of our liver and gallbladder. I have never met a person that is like can live without taking care of their liver and gallbladder. And I mean babies that are 3 weeks old.
yeah.
Okay. And I'm talking 3-year-olds, and I'm talking people in their 90s. No one can skip this. So, now you understand that your dream journal has explained to you, hey, we got stagnation in liver and gallbladder, and please start doing something about it. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And I think 2022 for you is more of action taking in the health realm than just keep learning and making notes on it. You have lots of notes.
Yeah.
You've studied a lot. Okay.
Mm.
Put them to work. All right.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
You too.
All right, April.
Okay. I hate to draw this to a close, but I think sometimes we have to. We will get back to everyone with a new date so that we can have John and Masami together. I've taken notes of everybody who's raised their hand, so I will give that to John when we get back together with Masami, so that those of you who didn't get your questions answered can. I feel like this has been, for me, mind-blowing and life-changing, which doesn't happen to me a lot in these calls. So that was really, really fun for me.
I just loved your presence, April. Thank you. Thank you for holding the space for all of us. You really held, like you were the person that just attended to the fire in the middle as the dark started to come in and the fire started to dwindle. You stayed with it for us. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate
I
that.
really appreciated it.
I'm going to put Masami's offer in here. We haven't talked about it too much, but seriously, do you have like something you'd like to shortly say about it?
It's just incredible, everyone. I have no idea what, I was just like, seriously, I'm supposed to do this? It's literally entire month, 29.5 days, 23 live calls. And I am taking you through on a journey together. We're going to do this together, but you'll be doing it in your own, your process individual, but we're going to do it together as a group. And I just could barely believe that I'm going to be doing 23 live calls, but I'm going to start. And April is beautiful. And then I love the fact that April is talking to me about April special offer that I'm creating. But literally April is when almost all planetary systems go, they're all direct until the end of April. So there's not a lot of distractions from like Mercury or, different planetary systems are creating retrogrades and things like that. So it's a very,
Oh, that sounds like a good month, doesn't
it
it?
is, it's a very calming month. And April 1st is the new moon and April 30th is the new moon. So we're going to start from the new
nice.
moon, end it on the new moon. And what I'm going to take you through is actually Japanese wisdom. That's what I'm most excited about, is that I get to share what I know to be true in the lunar cycles. That nothing to do with like how to, manifest great things at the end of the month kind of thing. Maybe that'll happen. But I'm going to take you through each phase that impacts different organs. So we're going to be going into different organs each week, and we're going to have a collective metabolic reset week where we will do cleanse and detox together. And then, and there's like a prizes with it. Bonuses are amazing. So anyway, you won't be able to get enough of me, and you might be so sick of me going on live 23 times in the entire month. But
So we'll wait a month or
committed.
so to have you back on the show, but that's okay.
I'm committed to doing this with you. I'm very excited to allocate some time, not a whole lot of time. There'll be some, things that you'll have to do, but every day attend to the part of the different shades of gray in you. Yeah.
We do have a question. What time of day will the calls be?
So all that's listed there, but every call I decided to start at, it's the 11, wait a minute, hold on a sec. It's 11 my time. So it's 1 o'clock Eastern time and 10 o'clock Pacific time. And everything is recorded. Everything's recorded, and it'll be posted pretty quickly after the live call. So
sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, Masami, this has been quite a journey. Just this one call, I'm going to go back and listen to the process again tonight after I finish all my recording and stuff. And thank you all for putting up with me as the host. I definitely am not John, but I'm so glad I got to do this. And Masami, thank you for allowing me to do this and not waiting for John, because I got
it was an honor. We didn't, this was what meant to be, meant to happen.
And can we just say one last time, happy birthday, John?
Yes,
wherever
exactly.
you
Happy
are,
birthday, John.
wandering
Happy
around
birthday.
the pyramids.
Enjoy the darkness, the descent to the darkness. Enjoy the journey into the darkness.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.